Zambia is a landlocked country in Southeast Africa. The land has a total area of 752,610 kilometers squared. However, land distribution in Zambia is not without challenges ranging from customary political interference to foreign investments. Zambia has a dual land tenure system which governs customary and state land. At the time of independence, over 90% was under customary tenure. Zambian law allows for irreversible conversion of customary land to state land. This law paved way for establishment of farm blocks in 2008. One such farm block is Luswishi Farm, which covers 100,000 hectares in Chibuchinga Chiefdom of Copperbelt Province. Luswishi Farm Block is endowed with vast land, lush forests, and a number of streams and rivers. The creation of Luswishi Farm Block saw the land get divided between approximately 10 main investors. These investors were given an average of 6,000 hectares each, which they fenced off.
In the research area where we went, it is a farm block of 100,000 hectares in terms of size. This is just one of the many farm blocks within the country. This land was converted from customary tenure into state land, meaning that it cannot go back to the traditional communities that occupy it. The conflicts and the tensions that this farm block creation have created have been expressed through the voices, many voices from the youth, from the women, from the leaders, from the men. They feel it and they express it in different ways. This is what is being expressed in this video. They are speaking their everyday life, they are speaking the pressures and the various negative impacts that the creation of this farm block has created.
These investors were given an average of 6,000 hectares each, which they fenced off.
Mukwai, kuno tuleyirishanya pamusango wakwe bati ubwikashita buli bwino kuno twashire mu 94 then ama farm block na ama investors aya yaishire fye at random. So mukwisa kwabo at random baishire kwati ni political issue tayari issue yakwe bati kuti bayishibishe cyaro ukwe bati bafairishe ngefo mufairishe okwishuba ukwe bati bishe kwaba abantu nangu kwaba shani pale isa fetwa umfafe kwa isa bataha kwa isa aba kwa isa shani nombeze result na vitu chita affect abantu tuli more than maybe kunonga kuchita sensitize maybe kutu wakuma na 10,000 nangu 12,000 abali kuno. So chile tulengera inso nukumfuata kwa aba abantu. So aba abantu ama investors aba baleisa bayishire feti random ukubulo okwishiba fwebeka shikuno nokusunkanya abanensu yo kuleisa ba ex-mine takwali ukuita meeting ukwe bati twingeshi bikwati kwali ba abantu kuli.
What the community and I are complaining about is that we have been surrounded by various companies. If you look to my right, we have been taken over by ex-mining. To my left, there is Luswishi project. Behind me, there is another unknown mining firm. As of now, where we are, I am afraid that we could forcibly be removed from our land without any notice. Before the Luswishi project began, their officials promised us that they would relocate us to another piece of land, because at that time, the land on which they are currently operating on was our farmland. We cultivated cassava, groundnuts, sugarcane, maize, to mention a few. When they began operation, all our crops became food for their workers. We were not even compensated. In 2020, we were ordered to stop farming on that land. We stopped and the suffering set in. The problem is that the same farmland is what we use to support our families and send our children to school. I had a big piece of land where I grew cassava, sugarcane. There were even fruit trees like avocados, oranges, and guavas. In the past 3 years, I have not worked there out of frustration. I have children in college and primary school, and they are all suffering. We were threatened that anyone who farms on that land does so at their own risk. As a result, all of us who had farms there have not done any cultivation out of fear of being removed from the land in the middle of an investment. And for sure, they came as promised, and they started destroying any crop they found on the land. Anything they found was food for all. For the last 3 years, we have not cultivated anything. Earlier this year, they made a fake meeting in which they promised us that come June, we will be compensated with a piece of farmland. When it comes to land preparation, we start from March to June. At present, I don't know at all if they have found our promised farmland. And as a result of this year has been wasted because we won't do any farming and we are still waiting for the promised farmland. We don't know what to do or where we will go. Now, where is it that we will go? How are we going to support our children?
I'm here to talk about ex-mining. They have not come with good intentions. They have brought fear among us, the women who live here. Others are coming humbly, while some forcefully. When they find you cultivating the land on which they have placed beacons in their names, they will point at you saying, "This is now my land." Now, in such a situation, the person will go on to say that, "I have come from the government. Even if you oppose me, I have papers from the government." What follows next is to keep quiet because the same person has government backing. This situation has given us fear. Fear. It has also hindered us from working properly. I won't even farm because I'm afraid of farming on someone else's land, someone with government backing. Me, the owner of the land, I don't even have powers. I can only operate from a current small location, which I have already cultivated on. That is the major problem we have here.
Kuno kumushingashi chili kwati na kalimoto alisanswa elo kabiri tuli bana banshiwa twalisanswa kunshimu isho tatwaishwanoko shafuma ifi chitika fyakwe bati abale ikalenta nshapo bali batamfya mu mayanda bali batamfya mu mafamu bali bapela ma 1,700 pali 10 hectares. Umuntu nakwata abana 5 abana nakwata abakashi kuli nabeshukuru efi nshifyo tatulachitutushe batwingira pa ex-mine apa napo bayingira bapoke mpanga n'abana n'abafyashi bonse batamfishiwa tatulati tuletusha iliashi tumbuka kuli mine aisa mubitu atiba aisa mine yo bachitire lonchi bayemupita bariko mine baleshita lonchi ba minister tabariko yo mine babula ensambu ya 2000 hectares bapero muntu umo tukalima pesa tukabutukira kwisa chile para kwati ifo kuno buteko bwali tusula tatutontonkanya tatupema tepali noko ifo tatuakwata na ensambu ya kubabe na Zambia ukufuma kwa mpango kufika kuno tepave chishima tepava boho tule ya kukanso kwa batu batupela kama boho besa feneriashi bali tupela boho aponga mapompa menshine nkumba tetinwe emi kalile yashani twamiroba mwebuteko kuno kambirombiro tefwe bakamushiyo Metsungu tulalanda. Let me say this in English. We are well-educated people. We are able to talk to you one-on-one. Come to our level. Can you address the issues that have been highlighted by the community? We are tired of games. We are tired of crookedness. We need a community that is up front. Uno mwaka na tufilo kulimo mumulandu wanshi bale tuwa tukuki tuwa kukila pesa bali filo kusompela mayanda bali filo kutuchitila fyonze kwa bale tutuwalo kwa 50 hectares fika chinga 50 kilometers oko shirimanda oko ya mayanda oko ya iko filifi patala poseni kwa mano mwe bali kuntanshi nga mwamfuati na tukakaula abantu kuno mikala ndati tuli babi lesa mipale.
The acquisition of land by the investors affected the indigenous community members in various ways. Community members were cut off from natural resources like dumbos and rivers. They were also displaced from their farmlands and moved to areas that were far from schools and clinics. Historical background on promises made by the investors are not fulfilled. Also, the general attitude of the community at the start of the farm block establishment impacted negatively on the elderly and other vulnerable members of the local community. An election was held in August 2021, and there has been a change of government in Zambia. The new government has ushered in some plans for the development of Luswishi Farm Block area.
As can be heard from the views of the number of people that have spoken and the number of people that have actually given their life experiences, it can be seen that this conversion, this farm block creation, and the many investors that have come to get big pieces of this farm block area, we have seen that it has had far-reaching consequences and it has affected many, many lives. And we can also see that the effect or the impact is not short-term. It is something that is going to affect even the generations to come, because many people do not even know what tomorrow brings. They do not know where they're going to move in the next year or they're going to move in the next 2 years. It affects their cropping pattern. It affects the way that they even plan their work, their day-to-day work. So our conclusion is that the conversion of customary land should be done with careful consideration of the livelihoods of the rural farm families. It is not true that the land is unoccupied. The land is occupied, and even areas like Dumbos, which look like they're not being used, are very critical to the lives of the rural farm families. And it is our firm belief as researchers and as development practitioners that this, the land tenure system in Zambia, for example, needs to be reviewed, especially the conversion of irreversible conversion of customary land to state land. It needs to be reviewed and it needs to be considered in terms of what impact does this have on the families and on the rural farm families that have inherited this land and that have been using this land for generations.